This film's being produced at the Bridge School, compliments to the Burnside Cadillac, Portland's only street newspaper. And this is Justice, the dog, and Gloria Ross. Gloria, could you tell people that are going to be watching this film where you're going tonight? I might mention this is Tuesday, June 11th.
I'm heading east, and my goal is to get to Washington, D.C. with the most important issue that's ever entered my life, the homeless issue. I've wanted more justice in my life, and I have. I need there's going to be more of me. My 6-month-old pup. He's anxious to get out of town and do some romping. I ended up here in Portland on the 3rd of June last year, and a job that didn't pan out left us homeless, and we tried the shelter, and things didn't work for us. Too close to strangers. It doesn't separate the mentally handicapped, people in need of mental health. And we tried our hand at camping, which was very successful. We camp very responsibly. I keep a clean camp. The city helped us at one camp area to clean up after past campers. They supplied us with solvable bags, and we did heavy-duty cleaning, and with the promise from the city that they would donate some dumpsters. And by October, their answer to giving us a dumpster to get rid of the trash that we had picked up was to have a camp sweep. A camp sweep is when the cops move you on from the campsite so that they can clean up the area of camps. And after watching what they did after the camp sweep, a lot of the garbage that I had picked up and was cleaning up was from previous camp sweeps. To discourage campers from coming back to campsites, they throw things over the edges and they make a mess.
Are you saying the cops are adding to the trash?
Cops are adding to the trash, if not causing the trash. I know one woman that she's our bag lady on the other side of the river, that she got so tired of the way the camp sweeps were and losing things that she just collected more things to give them more to do. And when spring came, I realized that a lot of people will live under the trash. They will put trash over their shelters to camouflage, to stay hidden, so that they can stay independent. And it's with an anti-camping ordinance that Portland has, and a lot of cities' ordinance, a way to pass a law without the people's vote. It keeps people from being independent. It takes away our American rights. Since I've been on the street, since we've had this sweep, and we've been moved on constantly throughout the whole winter, it has kept us from getting on our feet. It has kept us from doing anything with our lives but hanging on to what possessions we can hang on to. We get moved on like we're cattle. I don't think it's so much that I blame the cops. They're just upholding justice, as they say, if you really want to call taking people's possessions and adding it to the tonnage of garbage, instead of putting it in storage like they're supposed to. If you want to call that upholding it, they uphold half of it, and that's to move us on. They make being independent against the law.
What does it mean to you to be independent?
It means to be free. It means I can have my coffee when I want to. It means if I'm sick, I can lay down on my bed when I want to. When you stay at a shelter, you are booted out at 6 o'clock in the morning and you are left to wander the streets. Families have had to do this. When they take shelters, it separates the husband and wife. And if you have older children that are too old for the family part and too young for the men, they end up halfway across town running amok. And the whole shelter system separates the family unity, and I thought that was what America was based on, was the family unity. The anti-camping ordinance upholds everything that is un-American that I can think of. It keeps you from being independent. It keeps you from feeling like you're actually in America. There's no freedom.
People in Portland would say, we're paying our taxes for shelters, and why aren't the people staying in shelters? And uh, isn't there room for everybody in the shelter?
Throughout the whole winter, there were waiting lists of the shelters, and they were constantly full. And now that spring and summer is here, they have shut down the winter shelters, which means there's about 2 or 3 months of a waiting list for people. And still, people are getting trespassing tickets. When you are run off from one area that you are camping at, the only place you have to go to is another place that they can issue a trespassing ticket. And the trespassing tickets are what's so phony. It's the anti-camping ordinance that they're doing it on and for and because of. And now that because of my case and them changing my charges from the anti-camping to the trespassing, it gives them more leeway where they can do camp sweeps, sweep people away from any kind of shelter that shelters them from the weather. And they don't have to let anybody know. It can be. They don't have to give a 24-hour notice. They can just run them off and destroy their things and add it to the tonnage of garbage and treat them like they're animals. It's not good for the people that are being swept. And as egotistic people goes, and we have egotistic people in all walks of life, we have them in the cops. And when the cops have an ego problem, then you have a problem dealing fairly with people because they can harass, illegally search people. And I have known them to actually abuse people because we do not have money to get a counselor on any unfair thing done. They have illegally searched people on the streets with the threat that if they don't submit to an illegal search that they will lose everything. And usually everything we own is what we can carry with us. And illegal searches, and if there aren't witnesses around, there are abuse that goes on. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing that the homeless people can do because they don't have the funds to hire an attorney to stop this.
What's the answer?
The answer is not to make it such a problem. That's like saying, what's the answer to the overpopulation? There's no answer. There's just a matter of treating people how you would want to be treated. People don't realize how close they are to this level. One paycheck from it. If your paycheck should stop, if you happen to get kicked out of a place and suddenly you don't have the reference to get in another place because you have a slumlord for a landlord, there's no answer except not to make laws that don't go along with the Constitution. How a city ever gets the rights to make such a law, such as the anti-camping ordinance, which is totally against our American Constitution, is beyond me. What gives them the right to step over that bounds? And isn't there some higher official that is supposed to monitor the laws the cities pass? It don't feel like America. I learned to survive in the mountains in northern Idaho where you were appreciated and given consideration for the way you can respect your environment and people that come around. And here in the cities, they pass a law where no matter how right you are about your respect that you give the environment and the neighborhood, you are going against the law and you have an egotistic cop up in your face and making you feel like you are less than a human being. And that is not right. It is not right for the cop to be able to extend his personality and his ego that way. It's not healthy for him to be able to do that. Nor is it healthy for a person that's probably been on the street since they were teenagers to not even know what America is really all about. I got the chance to know what it was about when my kids were young and we did a lot of traveling. Only in America can a woman pick up and go across the United States without a traveling permit. I have really felt I was in America a lot of times in my life, but in this past year, since last October, it has not felt like America, except with St. Francis, the only piece of America in Portland, throughout the whole winter, that the homeless people could go and not be harassed by cops. And even then, at one point, they stepped over the bounds and came in and arrested a homeless person because he had 3 traffic warrants in Clackamas County. And they overstepped the bounds and told the director, too bad, tough. And the whole reasoning. It was such a harassment.
You talked, in fact, you showed me a picture, several pictures of your home.
Yes, in our business, our bicycle business, neatly arranged. And on the 24-hour notice that we were given to leave, it said that they would give us they would store our belongings for 10 days. And we did not find it. It was added to the tonnage of garbage that they claimed that they took from under there. And the garbage that we had already bagged up, a lot of it was thrown over the side. And when they claimed they had gotten 3 tons of garbage out from under the bridge. And I know that much wasn't sacked, but a lot of it was like people's tents, things they had to leave behind, because when it comes to a sweep, you take what you can take with you without excess baggage, no matter what you've collected, and that's your bare necessities. Everything else is left, hopefully, to be stored, so if you can get the money to get a storage to put it in, or another camp area where you can take it to, you know, like a business that we had. We have spent lots of money replacing a lot of bike parts to keep our bikes going because of it, and to find they didn't store it. The only thing they stored out of that whole sweep was a cheap box with costume jewelry in it, and I don't even know who that belonged to, but legal services came down and took pictures of our shelter and our little business and how neatly arranged it is. You don't neatly arrange garbage. And they added it to tons of garbage, like the homeless live in tons of garbage, and that's the way we are. And it's not so. It's not so. There's a lot of honor amongst the homeless people. I've met a lot of. I have seen more honor, in a special honor amongst the homeless than I have ever seen in any walks of life that I've ever been in. And I have had my 2-car garage and my camper and pickup before. People don't know how easy it is to lose everything so suddenly and so devastatingly, and then to suddenly find that the laws are against you and pointed right at you. That has got to be the most, once I get out of this level, I hope, God, I never see it again, but I pray I don't forget where I came from, because there are people that don't even know what America is really like because they've lived so long. They have lost all their fight, feeling that this is just the way it is, and it is, and it shouldn't be. I can't give up for them, because this is America, and they have a right to taste what real America, being in America really is. And when people who have been on the streets since they were young kids don't know any other place but Portland, they haven't got the courage to venture out to find there are places out there that are more Americanized than what Portland is. Maybe not too many, but there are. And it's really a shame that our elected officials have allowed citizens to not even get a taste of what America's supposed to be. It's the land of the free, the opportunity. And isn't that what America was based on? The people who came over on the Mayflower, weren't they the criminals, the ones that were criminalized because they were poor? This is exactly what's happening now. I mean, the next step is what? To ship us to a different planet? Well, if they did, we'd make it livable for the rich people to come up there and enforce their rules on us again. And at least there'll be a west to go to. There's no more west to go to now when they push the rich man's rules, push us out. And there's got to be a time, as Christ preached, that man has got to take care of their fellow man. We're the only species on earth that can make ourselves extinct, and we are doing it. We are doing it in the heart, and we are doing it in the mind, and we are doing it physically.
Gloria, you're going to be traveling on a bicycle.
I'm going to get healthy, too.
You are healthy.
Yeah, I'll get healthier.
And you're going to be pulling?
I'm going to be pulling my worldly possessions, which most of it belongs to Justice because his dog food is heavy. But I'll probably even be lightening my load as I go along. As summer gets harder, I'll probably let shed a few more jeans. But I find what I'm doing and preparing for it makes me realize what Christ meant by being free and being whole, and that's not having so much possessions to bondage you down. I want to explore America and see how the issue is a problem in other areas, or if they really make it a problem, because if it's not made to be a problem, and there is more of a hand-in-hand and more of a social thing where you put a social worker involved in it to get the neighborhoods more involved with the camp areas where the homeless are at, you will find that the homeless people actually watch out for the neighborhoods because they don't have the walls to block from the hearing and block from the sight to see when there are intruders. I mean, if you want to talk about crimes, the worst crimes ever done are behind walls. When we walk downtown, how do we know within 10 feet some person is being tortured and another person is getting away with it? Because there are walls. Because I'm scared of walls and what walls hide. Do we tear down walls? No. But yet, unless I have sound walls with an address to go with it, I'm living against the law, and as my ticket says, against the peace and dignity of the state of Oregon. And the only thing I can think of that's against the peace and dignity of the state of Oregon is the damn ordinance.
Is anybody trying to do anything about this anti-camping ordinance?
Everybody is, but you know, I've already been brushed off by the mayor, and she seems to think that the housings that are years up the road that they plan to use part of their $30 million they found to go for, but that's like making a doctor's appointment, a future doctor's appointment for a wound with gangrene. And even if they were to house all the homeless people, which is going to take a lot, because there's not very many people that are on the street that have good credit with the rental references. You know, you don't leave the day your rent is due. Even if she were, by some miracle, able to house every homeless person, what's going to happen is people that are in low income, living in a higher rental district, are going to be right there to get in, and there's going to be a long waiting list. So what do we do with the people that end up losing everything? It's not for the greed of other people or the act of nature. And we know that through the flood here in Portland, how quickly people can lose everything and suddenly be homeless. A fire. What do you do then? There's a long waiting list for what? Homeless people to be on again, and then you've got people out on the streets. And shelters aren't for everybody. People have dogs and pets they can't take with them. I would rather live on the street and in a doorway with my dog than I would get a comfortable home that I have to give up my best friend, the only person that's with me that will not betray me. He'll protect me. He's very important to my life.
He seems pretty peaceful.
Yeah, he is. My pedigree met.
How many people that camp out do you think have dogs?
Most people do, because it's a necessity. If they don't protect you from intruders, they will protect you from harassing cops. Cops that do harass us, they will stand back and not move it close. I mean, cops have been known to pull the wallets from a person with light in their face. We've had trouble last winter with fake cops that have ripped people off, but I didn't have justice yet, but we were camping with two other guys that did have dogs, and the dogs kept them at bay to where they didn't approach us and take things from us. But they took money away from some campers down the way because they didn't have dogs. They are very important to homeless people. Sometimes when a person needs to sit and cry, and there's a lot of men that won't do it, they got their dogs to do it too, and the therapy of it. To take a dog away from some of these homeless people is like taking one of their limbs from them, and it isn't right. You can't say, well, give up your dog if you want to be inside. You can't. It's like giving up your family, because these dogs are our family. They're our only family that really we know is going to be there when we need them. And cops have been known to threaten us with our dogs. They have maced dogs for no apparent reason except the dog barks at them, you know. They have... I don't know if I have said this on this taping or not, but they have blackmailed two people that I know of for illegal search with the threat that they will take them in to search them if they don't submit to the illegal search, which means, and most homeless people, what they own is on their back, so that leaves them to lose everything they own right there if they were taken in, and they have to submit to illegal search. either that or give up their possessions. And that is not right. And all because we can't afford the council.
Do you think you can make it across the United States?
I'm not going to say I can, but I'm going to go as far as Justice and I can go. I will go. The issue is important to me to give it a try. I mean, I'm 46 years old. I have a bum hip, but I will be away from a lot of concrete and asphalt, so that's going to be a lot healthier for me. I don't want to. I don't want to put myself under pressure by saying, yes, I'm going to make it, but I'm going to go as far as I can go. But I know once I make it over the Rockies, it's downhill all the way. Those are the highest things I'm going to climb. And I believe by then, Justice is going to be a lot bigger, and I've got a harness for him. He will help get me over the Rockies. And I plan to write the president quite often. I figure if somebody with a pickup wants to give me a ride a little further down the road, I'm going to jump in. Yes.
And then, so let's say you get there. Let's pretend you're there.
Okay. I'm hoping that, see, I plan to write the president and his lady.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like a log to them. But no, I think it should be interesting enough to where what I leave out, there's, you know, what I leave in question as far as my logging to them when I write them, that I could sit, I want to sit on their yard. I want to sit on the yard nap too. But yeah, I think the issue is very important. I'm hoping. Otherwise, I just made it there.
Let's pretend that you're there now.
Uh-huh.
And this camera is President Clinton. And sitting over there, instead of Marjorie, is
Mrs. Clinton.
Mrs. Clinton.
I want to make it social.
What would you say?
Did you get all my letters? That should explain it all. What I've heard is that they love dogs, and this is the most lovable dog. I think I think he would probably be more welcome than I was, but he's going to open the door for me because I refuse to go see the president without my dog at my side anyway. He's very important to me. I would like for them to know what I went through all winter and what it was like feeling like I wasn't in America. What I write to them is basically try to catch up on what I've had to go through as far as the unfairness goes. But basically log in what I'm going through because it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's like, this trip is going to be good for me for however long I can journey on.
What did you go through this winter?
I went through hell.
What was it like?
If you know what we had, I had a trailer that's not as easy as to pull as the one I have now.
Behind your
and
bike?
It was loaded, yes, behind my bike. And because we had trailers and we were mobile, we were able to venture away from St. Francis and go under a bridge at night after dark because you do have, and if we're not out of there by 10 o'clock, we're moved on like we were cattle, like stray cattle, moved on back to the rest of the cattle that were staying at St. Francis, America, St. Francis, if I have my way with labeling. It was winter. We had a lot more to pack. Nothing was excess baggage, but yet it was heavy. I pretty well put myself in shape, except for a lot of the sickness that I went through. Christmas Eve was hell, but I did have this voice come to me to let me realize at my moment of despair when I thought I was going into the deepest depression that I spent this last Christmas the same way Christ spent his last 3 birthdays. So it made it kind of spiritual for me. But we went 2 miles back to Francis every morning, and then ventured out after dinner. It was after dark to set up to roll out to sleep at night, only to pack up and move in. And very rarely, like on rainy days, a lot of times we were rolling out to wet bedding, and people who couldn't secure their stuff found their bedding stolen. Throughout the winter, especially the rainy season, the most valuable possession that the homeless had was their bedding, which was subject to being ripped off, by people passing through if they didn't guard it and watch it. I got to St. Francis one morning, and this woman was basically dumped off by her boyfriend, and she had no bedding at all. And she 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 uh, she turned herself into Cheers just so she could have a place to sleep because she had no bedding and it was cold.
How old was she?
I would say about 28, 29. What people will admit to, and the reputation they put on the line just so that they could have a dry, warm bed. It was sad.
I want to ask you something. People have told me that often they will pretend to be an alcoholic or a drug addict to get help.
I come close to doing that because I was getting very depressed with the streets. It was cold. Quite a few nights we went to sleep with our gloves, our mittens, our hats. I look back, I don't know how I survived, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad I didn't go through with it. And I'm glad I lived through it because it's a small hell I went through compared to the hell people have gone through for years, and people will continue to go through if there isn't something done about the problems cities create by making ordinance such as this. People should be able to live with dignity. There should be more hand in hand with humanity, and more of a touch base as to what reality is instead of laws being made because of gossip. And that's just exactly what these kind of laws are made for. Things are zoned to keep homeless people from communing on people's private property because of gossip that it's probably an occult. And we know that by Fort helped me with the place that was rezoned for this. For the Vietnam vet.
Oh, Camp Bravo.
Camp Bravo, thank you. That was rezoned because the gossip of the neighborhood saying that it was an occult going on when really it was based on helping the homeless Vietnam vets who fought for our country and went through a hell that they're still living with the system that still rejects them. And they rezoned it so that they couldn't have it. And it's basically a law made out of gossip. And now they're scattered, and now they're on the streets in the cities, being a city's problem because the city wants to make it a problem with their stupid ordinances.
I want to thank you.
And I've got something more foul to say about it, but I won't. I'll be kind.
I thank you for talking on this film, and
I
for
thank you for
anybody
letting me.
that's listening to this. We want to get national attention for this,
Yes.
and hopefully to get this film on the national media.
And don't let another person who has never seen this kind of life ever hit. Jesus has walked with me closer. Not that he's walked with me closer. I felt him walking with me closer because I have motivated closer to him through a lot of prayers. But there's going to come a time that somebody is going to do suicide once they hit this level. And there's no need for it. I've talked with people who have been on the streets that have gotten checks because they have absolutely made the system believe they were crazy. But if they ever lost their check and hit this level, they would commit suicide. And I know a lot of people who are still stereotyping this level that would commit suicide if they hit it. Good people. That if this ordinance didn't exist and there was more humanity in it, that the fear of suicide wouldn't be part of their lives.
Well, let's bring justice back.
Justice.
In more ways than one.
Come here, Justice.
Justice.
Peepers. Come here.
There's some children outside that are waiting to see you
Yes.
and your friends, so perhaps you just want to stay over there.
And if anybody has any more follow-up, I'll be on Highway 26 till I get to Idaho. From then it'll be Highway 30 all the way to Lincoln, Nebraska. From then we zigzag shortcut ways to get to Highway 50 because 50 goes all the way into Washington, D.C. And that shouldn't be hard. I will be keeping in close contact with Join, Rob Justice of Join, that is an advocate for the homeless, and Burnside Cadillac.
And we've got your Benny.
And they got my Benny. Yes.
Okay.
And who knows how this will go. It might be a convoy before this quest is over.
You
And that would
bet,
be
you
cool,
bet. Okay, well, I'm going to stop the camera, and then we're going to take the camera outside.
too. And watch me leave.
You got it. Gloria, you take care. Write to us. Bye, Justice. All right.
Independence in America.
Bye, Gloria. Bye, Justice. There she goes. The mom and kids, though, are not going along all the way. Just a little support. Here's the bridge school. Tutors wanted